Welcome back to A Boulder View. On the first half of the show, we saw Carl Castillo speaking with Susan Graff from the Boulder Chamber of Commerce about the city-chamber relationships. We're going to continue that conversation and talk about the city's Economic Vitality Program and how the city supports local businesses. Joining us to talk about that is the city's Economic Vitality Program Coordinator, Liz Hansen, and Boulder business owner, Scott Roy, owner of Boulder Ice Cream. Thanks for being here today.
Sure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So I wanted to start off talking about the recession and how it's impacted Boulder. As we all know, the last few years have been challenging economically for the country as well as Boulder. And Boulder, as a city government, has had to look at its budget much more closely and more critically in the past few years and make sure that we're prioritizing funding to the programs and services that are at highest priority. And throughout all of that, the city has maintained its funding towards the Economic Vitality Program, recognizing that supporting local businesses is important. So Liz, can you start us off talking about how the recession has impacted the local business community in Boulder and why the city continues to support this program?
Sure. Well, Boulder has fared better than most communities through this economic downturn. So, for example, we have a much more diverse industry base than a lot of places. And we have industries like the federal labs and CU, high technology and clean technology that tend to be much more stable. So if you look at areas like sales tax and use tax declining or an increase in subleasing, also more difficulty for businesses to get credit and financing, these have been some of the key indicators that we've seen during the recession. Now, certain areas of our economy, like the retail sector and technical and professional services, like consultants, for example, they have had more business and job losses. This is why, from Boulder's perspective, the jobs that we have now are the most important jobs for us. And it's really important that we're investing in efforts to grow and keep the companies we have, as well as to work with the companies to provide them what assistance they need. We do this in a couple of different ways. We do outreach visits to companies, we have business assistance programs, and we also have some incentive programs for businesses.
Great. So retention is a big focus for the program.
Absolutely.
So Scott, as a local business owner, how has your company been impacted? And as a business owner, how do you feel the business community is faring right now in Boulder?
Well, for Boulder Ice Cream, we always tend to grow in recessions. Ice cream, cigarettes, alcohol, candy are all vices.
Oh, interesting.
Seem to go up during harder economic times. So we always experience a growth in those years. However, we also have a rather large challenge in trying to get money to grow. Because of the constriction of the economy, banks less willing to dole out any kind of funding, makes it a challenge for us to actually grow. So for us, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It means good business, but also hard to do business and hard to grow. And from people I've talked to in Boulder, the food companies, which we're part of, seem to have fared okay during the recession. Everybody still eats, so I think we're recession-proof in that sense.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about it being hard to grow, meaning, am I right in assuming that means hard to get loans to improve your facilities or things like that?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And working capital. We're a very seasonal business, so we need to do a lot of manufacturing in the winter. When we don't have the sales, we put it all in inventory, and in the summer, we sell at a much faster rate than we can produce. So we try and create a balance through the year that allows us to not have to work like crazy in the summer and lay people off in the winter. So we try and even that out, and that's where we need the working capital help that gets tough in times like this.
So based on that, that's where the city comes in a lot of times, is that right, Liz? And I know the Economic Vitality Program right now has two offerings. One's a flexible rebate program and one's a microloan program. Can you describe those for us?
Sure. Our flexible rebate program really targets primary employers. These are companies that are bringing new money into the economy and that have 50% or more of their revenues from outside of Boulder County. Now, the best thing about these primary employers are not only do they have jobs themselves, but they support secondary employers like retail, restaurant, and hotels. So the rebate program allows the city manager to approve rebates of taxes and fees like permit fees or sales and use taxes to these companies. So basically rebating taxes and fees they've already paid in. These companies have to meet a set of sustainability guidelines, and it really is a way to invest in companies that are making investments in Boulder. So that's one program. The other program is our microloan fund, which we had its inaugural year recently and funded 11 businesses through loans, including Boulder Ice Cream. And this program is a way for the city and local banks to partner to really provide funding through loans that they may not be able to get through traditional methods. These are companies that are doing well, that are going to be viable companies that can pay back the loans, but this may be an alternative source of funding for them. So these 11 companies were our first start, and now we're in the process of raising funds for our second round.
Great. So it sounds like that program's going really well.
Yeah, you know, it really targeted a wide range of companies. So everything from Boulder Ice Cream to a hair salon to a new restaurant opening up, even a very specialty engineering firm. So we were able to really meet the needs of a wide range of businesses in Boulder.
That's interesting. So Scott, can you talk a little bit more about what you used that loan for? I know you were also part of the Economic Vitality Program a few years ago with the pilot program that was the Employee Training Assistance Program, but that's no longer an offering. And then recently you were a microloan program recipient. So how has this program helped your business?
We received a loan last year, and with those proceeds we were able to purchase a homogenizer.
And what's that?
A homogenizer is a machine that basically takes a fat molecule that's this big and pushes it through a hole about that big.
So an ice cream fat molecule? Is that what we're talking about? Or milk
a fat molecule in the cream.
Oh, the cream. Okay.
And to make good ice cream, the idea is you want to create as much surface area as possible around the fat. So by taking one big ball of fat this big and making it into 100 little balls like that, you increase the surface area. So the homogenizer does that for us, so it allows us to have a much creamier product. And then we also use part of the funds to purchase a filler, which allows our line to go about 30% faster than
So a filler of the...
fills the pints.
Pints.
It's a machine that basically an operator pushes a button and it pumps out a pint of ice cream. The next one goes down the line, so on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, Liz, while the city offers these programs and incentives to the businesses, how does the city, the government, the budget itself benefit?
Well, I think Boulder Ice Cream is a great example because it's a small business. And I think 95% of businesses in Boulder have less than 50 employees. So small business is really the heart of Boulder's businesses. And a company like Boulder Ice Cream is a really example of a great small business. Well, for one, they're startup in Boulder, so they're a homegrown company. They're growing. They're generating revenues back to the city of Boulder. They're increasing job opportunities in Boulder. They also build on the Boulder brand, right? They have Boulder in their name, and they're also a natural or organic food producer, which is one of our key brands in Boulder. And then the other thing is, my understanding from meeting with Scott is Boulder Ice Cream is a very sustainable business. So the company does things like, zero waste and wind power. And I learned from Scott that they actually recycle the hot air from their equipment to warm the plant. So that's pretty cool.
It's really interesting.
And the other thing is they have really good ice cream. So I think that's another way they benefit.
Pumpkin. I like the pumpkin
Chocolate
flavor.
pudding is my favorite, but we can argue about that.
So speaking of the Boulder brand, I was going to mention, well, we know Boulder's in your company name, but that doesn't mean you have to maintain operations in Boulder. So what keeps you in the city?
I've been in Boulder myself for 32 years, so
Wow.
Boulder's just kind of home for me. And of course, home for the business that I run. So, but there's other things like EcoCycle. We've been part of their zero waste program for, I think it's been 5 years now. If we went out to another city, we're not going to find those kinds of programs. And those are part of our values, is being a green, sustainable manufacturer. And Boulder has the infrastructure to do that. And it's a value of Boulder, I feel as well. So I feel that our company being in Boulder is a good fit for a number of reasons.
Well, I want to go back, excuse me, on something you mentioned with the incentive program and sustainability factors, since we're kind of talking about sustainability right now. What are some of those for that incentive program?
So the sustainability guidelines cover social sustainability, environmental sustainability, and community sustainability. So companies that apply for those rebates have to show, for example, that they provide health insurance to a certain number of employees, or they have nonprofit support, or they have dependent care support. Those are some of the social sustainability. Environmental sustainability may have to do with eco-passes, or being a zero waste or recycling facility, or providing other support to employees to have alternate trips. So maybe it's showers or a flexible work week. And maybe it's just the nature of the company itself. They get points in our program if they are a solar provider, for example. So we find this is a way to match the sustainability goals that Boulder has with the things that our companies are doing.
And that's part of the incentive, the flexible rebate program,
Correct.
sorry, not the microloan program.
Correct.
So we're about ready to wrap up. Where can people find more information if they want to get involved in the program?
Well, they can go to the city's website, and that is bouldercolorado.gov. When they get there on the home page, they can click Business at the top of the page, and that will bring them to the city's business portal. And the city's business portal will provide easy access to a wide range of business services in the city, including the Economic Vitality Program.
Okay, great. And Scott, where can people get more information about Boulder Ice Cream or Boulder Ice Cream?
Or Boulder Ice Cream. Well, of course, your local grocery store. We also have a webpage, bouldericecream.com. We do have a link that talks about all of our green, sustainable things that we're doing, as well as talks about the process of how we make it and what we're all about.
Great. Well, thanks again. I really appreciate both of you being here today.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks. And that wraps up another episode of A Boulder View. For all of us here at Channel 8, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.